Alright, boom. Dead Space Remake, the final preview from IGN. Let's see what it's saying. See what's going on. This one is getting played on the channel.
Come on.
A few days ahead of visiting EA Motive for our Dead Space focused IGN first, I played the original game for the first time since 2008. I only intended to play the first hour or so, but 7 hours later, I found myself still battling through the rusted corpse of the USG Ishimura. I always knew Dead Space was a modern classic, but I was surprised just how well it stood up all these years later. And so I headed to meet the developers with a slightly cynical mindset. What was the point of remaking something that remains so brilliant? After playing the same 7 hours of the remake, I think I may have been convinced. In many ways, Dead Space is a purist's remake. I'd estimate that around 85% of what I experienced was identical to the original game, just with vastly superior visuals. But it's the other 15% that has me quietly wondering, could this remake genuinely be better than its progenitor?
Man, like Matt, I didn't use a lot of English.
People love this game.
I didn't use a lot of English reviewers. A lot of them.
I forgot. I thought
many
IGN
of these changes
was an
are
English
gameplay
company.
improvements, several of which are drawn directly from
That's
Dead
what I
Space
thought,
2.
but
The
I
zero
was
gravity
wrong.
sequences now allow you to move freely in all directions, rather than hop from surface to surface. This obviously allows for a better sense of freedom, but segments redesigned around this ability are notably more interesting than their original counterpart. The centrifuge generator puzzle in Chapter 3 is now a genuine spectacle, while the ADS cannon repair job has been completely changed to be a dangerous spacewalk that amps up the tension.
Man, I'm gonna be floating a lot, yeah?
This is mad, bro.
The 2011 sequel's influence can be found in your weapons too, which can now be fitted with a variety of special upgrades that alter their function. The plasma cutter, for instance, can be modded with an extended magazine and the ability to set foes alight for damage over time. The Ripper, meanwhile, can fire blades that ricochet around the room,
I know he's
allowing
reading,
trick
but he
shots.
sounds like it. When you
Such
sound like you're not
modifications
reading,
are
that's when
found
you're very
hidden around the
professional.
ship, and so they act as encouragement to explore
gonna
every
be
room
wild,
and
you
store
know?
cupboard. But thanks to a new
Charlie, I
security
can't lie,
clearance
this is gonna
system,
be
you're
mad.
initially locked out of many side locations you discover. As the story progresses, you're granted increasing levels of clearance, and so you can then backtrack through the now seamless spaceship to open doors that were once forbidden. This interconnected design and backtracking turns the Ishimura into something closer to the Talos 1 station from Prey, a huge structure that feels like a genuine place rather than a series of video game levels. It's an admirable direction, but I've yet to see exactly how well it's used across the full campaign. My hope is that Motive has smartly weaved backtracking into the main missions and the newly added side quests to allow for organic revisits of prior areas, rather than making backtracking a segregated chore.
Interesting.
Okay.
It does look graphically nice. Hey!
Regardless of if you're backtracking or making forward progress, Dead Space is full of horrifying necromorphs
What's that? What's that? What's
threaten
that?
to rip you
You
limb
said
from
big
hovering
clip,
this.
though.
It's a destructo disc
that rips the
Yeah,
skin, fat,
destructo
and
disc.
muscle layers away from enemies with each new wound. But there's more to this grotesque idea than just visceral visuals. Much like how protagonist Isaac Clarke has a health bar built directly into his suit, the necromorphs' own bodies are
that's
now
his
a
health
visual
bar.
representation
That's
of their
sick.
health. This is
That's
never
sick.
more obvious than
Yeah,
when
JJ,
using
I'm
the
gonna
Force
play
Gun,
this.
a weapon that has been completely overhauled for the remake. What was once simply a
Jeez.
pushback weapon now rips the flesh off enemies with a thunderous blast.
Ooh,
So
that
this is
looks
a
nice.
shoot
The
man's
stripped
leg, he
down
starts
necromorphs
crawling
can then be
thing.
finished off with a more conventional weapon, their exposed bones ready to be snapped with just a round or two. Talking
Wow.
of weapons, each one of Isaac's lethally repurposed tools has been redesigned to encourage a new level of strategy. Dismemberment is still the main aim of every skirmish, but the
Come on.
flamethrower's new
This game
alternate
looks
fire
cold,
creates
bro.
a wall
the
of
game's
searing
nasty.
flame
Does
that can
look
game's
cold
nasty.
off
you know,
areas
I ain't
and
gonna lie.
manage crowds, while the pulse rifle's new proximity mine works as both a trap and a makeshift grenade launcher. These are
Nice.
small changes, but I found the new secondary abilities to be much more useful than those in the original game, and they soon became a regular part of my combat routine. My favourite change I've seen so far
actually
though
really
are the
interesting.
circuit breakers. These occasional puzzles require you to reroute power to different machines, typically to open up locked doors. Each breaker box has a limited number of fuses though, and so powering up a door is done at the expense of powering down something else. In an early example, this involved turning off an elevator I no longer needed, but in Chapter 3 I was confronted with a much more intriguing sacrifice. To power up a refuel station, I had to divert energy away from either the engineering deck's lights or life support systems. It was a choice. Should I stumble onwards in pitch darkness and risk being ambushed by unseen threats, or navigate well-lit corridors while my air supply rapidly
was running
runs
low,
out?
yeah!
It's a smart way to
I
combine
like that.
challenge
I
with
actually
player
like
choice,
that
and I hope
stuff.
this
I like
example
that
is the
stuff.
first of many fiendish scenarios
It's like
rather
it's
than a
either
one
dark
occurrence.
or you might die.
This
You
is
ain't
gonna
gonna
be
hit.
pain. It's gonna be painful.
You better go in the dark, rude boy.
Yeah.
You better use your torch.
You're gonna have to go in the dark.
Graphics aside,
Otherwise,
No,
I can't
the
breathe.
most notable
Wouldn't be able to
change
breathe.
one
bro.
is the alterations
for
to the
real.
script.
What did he say about his
storytelling.
oxygen
One
supply?
silent protagonist,
So you got
Isaac,
oxygen
can now
supply,
speak. And while I do
or
think
go
this
in the
is
dark
largely unnecessary,
to get
he
to where you need to
thankfully
get to.
hasn't
Which
been
one?
turned into
Yeah.
an overly chatty
You have to go in the
subject
dark,
character.
fam. No
Rather than
choice.
quipping at
Yeah,
everything,
no choice,
Isaac's
bro.
ability to respond anchors him into the horrifying situation in a realistic manner.
Yoshimura's overrun with the fucking monsters.
Gunnar Wright, the voice actor who brought Isaac to
his
life in the
face, his
sequels,
face.
reprises the role.
swear.
And so once again there's
Yeah.
the sense that elements of Dead Space 2 are being retrofitted into the original. Isaac's new scripting is pretty good, but the best changes have
Only
been
issue I
made
have
to
with that,
Kendra
his head
Daniels.
looks like
Once an incredibly
it's
thorny
not
character, she's
attached
been
to his
transformed
body.
into a much more empathetic and friendly colleague for Isaac. And for anyone who knows the final direction of Dead Space's story, I think Daniel's revised personality will work much better with her character arc, provided, of course, the story's main plot beats remain intact. Talking of the story's pathway, the Church of Unitology, a religious sect and a major player in the Dead Space universe,
Major
is
players!
introduced much earlier in this remake and
player
in
in
a far
the
more
universe.
organic
Major players
manner.
in the
These
building.
characters know the Church's reputation and casually discuss it, even before they are aware that it will change their lives forever. It's an approach I really appreciate, and I think the eventual plot reveals will be much more meaningful because of it.
The madhouse.
On some alien planet. What does that mean?
That Unitology's onto something?
Unitology's full of shit.
Motive has made many smart changes to Dead Space, but it never shakes things up to the point of being unrecognisable. The result, at least across the
Man
first
said he
several
used to look like
chapters,
Jude
is
Law.
something that feels similar in philosophy to a director's cut, albeit a director's cut that's completely refilmed on brand new sets. This experience appears largely the same as the 2008 original, but honed and polished to a beautiful, gory finish.
Ooh!
As such, this remake will likely work best for brand
This is
new
getting
players
played at the
or
night
the most
time.
dedicated Dead Space fans.
I heard
Vibes off and that.
Yeah.
Ooh!
big. Watch your back.
As someone who
That
loves
one
the
black
original
guy's
game,
dead,
I found
boy.
what I played an absolute thrill. But for less invested fans, the value is of a more questionable quantity, since even with the changes, this is an incredibly similar experience. As such, I don't think Dead
Hold
Space
up.
will be as essential and transformative as the Resident Evil 2 remake was. As the best possible way to play this landmark survival horror though, I have near enough no doubt that Dead Space will succeed in that mission.
Okay.
For more from the Dead Space remake, check out the first 18 minutes of the game and how
of
Isaac's
those
suit was
ones where
redesigned. And for
Hey.
everything
Gonna have
else,
to move,
stick with
move
IGN.
digital.
Dead Space. Next thing. Next one. Next one. Next one
I'm
coming on the
interested.
channel.
I'm interested.
Next one coming on the channel. You get me. It's gonna be a. Looks like it's gonna be a bit of a ride. Still, I'm not gonna lie.
Bare
It's
jump
gonna be
scares, Gully.
A bit of
It
a
will
ride.
be.
Bare jump scares, bro.
Bare jump scares. Hey, chat. Make sure you got your clip ready. Yeah, if you see Gully get jump scared, make sure you clip him.
The weapons look cold. I'm looking forward to the weaponry.
Yeah, man said he's got a Destructo disc gun. Mad,
Yeah.
doing a Krillin gun. I hear it.
Some next
I
powers.
hear it. I hear it. I hear it.